Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.
We hope you enjoy listening to this podcast of St. Louis on the Air, brought to you by University College at Washington University. With undergraduate and graduate programs, part-time, evening, and online. University College at Washington University, offering world-class education within reach.
Also, last week we rolled out a special Facebook group focused on St. Louis on the Air. If Facebook is your preferred social media platform and St. Louis on the Air your go-to talk show, this new group is a great place for you to join our conversation. Search St. Louis on the Air on Facebook to request membership in the group and get started engaging with other fans of the show as well as our production team. Now, back with our tasteful final segment, looking for someplace new to dine or imbibe. We have some new ideas for you. When I say we, I mean the folks from Sauce Magazine. With us in studio to help you find new spaces for new experiences, Heather Hughes, managing editor of Sauce Magazine, and Matt Sorrell, featured writer for the magazine. Heather and Matt, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
Well, let's get started. Matt, I understand you're first up with a new place.
Yes, the place I'm going to talk to you about is Savage. So they just opened up about middle of last month at 2655 Ann Avenue in Fox Park. And so it's a very interesting concept. So the chef owner is Logan Ely, and he made waves last year by doing a series of pop-up events, very underground, secretive events where he just did a small tasting menu, but of just really interesting dishes. I mean, he kind of got famous for using insects in some of the dishes, a lot of locally foraged ingredients, really interesting and creative techniques in this very small space with just a couple people helping. So this is his legit restaurant, if you will. It's in an old market that is right there on the corner of Ann Avenue, and actually it doesn't have much signage. It still has the old market sign up there, so it's a little nondescript outside. But you go inside, there's about 20 seats. They surround an open kitchen, and you can see Logan and his crew working, creating everything. They do a multi-course snack menu, a 6-course tasting menu, and then a 12-course tasting menu. So you have your choice, very affordably priced, especially for what it is. And they change constantly, so there's no set menu. It kind of depends on what they can get in at any one time. When I went there recently, they had it was a yeast mousse with a little bit of preserved onion and radish on top, which was delicious. He also did like a milk sorbet with local milk and some brown sugar and some barley crumbles on top. I'm not a big dessert guy, but this was a really nice dessert. Very creative. There's a small patio out back also, where they do beer and wine service between 2 and 5 o'clock. So dinner's usually 5 to 9. They're open 4 days a week, Thursday through Sunday.
No insects this time. Huh?
No, not well, but he may. That's one of the things. I think that was a double-edged sword for him because he got known for doing the insects, but he actually used them in a really interesting and judicious way. It wasn't for the shock value of here's a cricket on a plate. And so I think he probably will do some of that again, but I think he doesn't want to get pigeonholed as the insect guy.
Yeah, well, insects very high in protein. A lot of people around the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, eat them. Any significance to the name Savage?
Well, what that name basically is trying to convey, according to Logan, is sort of like the primal aspect of what he's doing. So a lot of things are foraged, a lot of things like we were talking about insects, things that are a little bit more primal in their nature. The techniques used are minimum, so you're not going to have like, a creme brulee, or you're going to, something that's been in the oven for 5 hours.
But he does do a lot with fermentation.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting. It's a juxtaposition for me for that name of primitive, savage, whatever. And then looking at his food, which they're tiny works of art. It's the plating that he has is really interesting. He works with local ceramicists, and I know when he was doing his Square One project dinners, he would use like driftwood and then place things on top of it. So he's a really interesting guy. His food, you'll hear those list of ingredients, and sometimes if it's like ants, it might not sound very appetizing, but every bite is really unique. It's much more of a sort of artistic experience of eating. It's not just going somewhere to get a burger or something. You're there for the aesthetic, visual, all of the senses are engaged kind of a thing.
Presentation accounts for a lot.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's just beautiful. And the like Matt said, the price is really unique for that kind of dining experience.
Okay, well, let's move on to Crab Kings, I should say.
Switch gears a bit.
Yeah.
I'll talk about Crab Kings for a second. This is actually a Texas-based franchise that opened on Del Mar in the city at 5860 Del Mar. It's the kind of place you go for a giant platter of shrimp and crab and lobster. We got the crab and shrimp platter, which comes with 2 clusters of snow crab legs, 6 shrimp, and it's on this just huge pile of potatoes. And it comes with 1 corn cob, 1 hard-boiled egg, and 1 spicy sausage link. And then you get to choose your flavor of butter. My favorite was the Cajun. It's kind of spicy, but not too spicy, really flavorful. And the thing that made this stand out to me was that if you're throwing a big pile of food together, usually I'm a little wary that everything's going to be cooked properly for the thing that it is. And the crab legs were super tender, really flavorful and good. And the shrimp were really silky, not just little rubber nubs in a pool of butter. So that was really good. And the potatoes were awesome. I really liked that sausage link. I think I don't know what the flavors were, but it was spicy and not just from the Cajun
It was really
butter.
good.
It was great. So pretty simple and pretty affordable too for a pile of crab legs.
And it's challenging bringing in food like this, crab legs and shrimp from someplace else. Obviously, you don't get them from the Mississippi.
Right. Yeah, there's a bit of an overhead there, but they seem to be doing a really good job.
Great. What else have we got?
I'll talk about Jerk Soul, another smaller restaurant. This is a tiny carry-out only spot in North City, and I didn't know much about it going in, trying the place, but I was really blown away by the level of Caribbean food that they're putting out. They have obviously jerk chicken, but my favorite thing was a curry chicken. It's a deeply flavorful coconut milk broth. It's much more like earthy and savory than if you think of like Thai coconut broth curries. It's not like that. It's really dark and good. They also have a bone-in oxtail that has a really velvety, much darker sauce. It's great. And then they have some fusion specials of jerk chicken Philly, jerk chicken pizza, jerk chicken nachos, and jerk chicken loaded fries. It's really fun menu. And then really, really classic and delicious sides, the braised cabbage, a really good mac and cheese, rice and peas and stuff like that.
I wonder how many Americans really have a taste for curry. I love it, and of course it's a staple in Indian food.
Yeah.
But I wonder just how many people like it.
I think more and more. There's so many different kinds.
Yeah, I
too.
think it's less a matter of like if they like it, if it's just getting to try it. Once they try it, I think they'll like it. But like so many things, it just takes that jump to give it a shot and see what you think.
Well, and you have flavor profiles that you like somebody who loves an Indian curry wouldn't necessarily like a Thai curry, something like that.
That's right. It is different. It can be different.
Absolutely.
Alrighty. With a name like Yellow Belly, it's got to be good.
Absolutely. And so just full disclosure, I actually bartend at Yellow Belly several nights a week, so please come down and say hi to me.
Makes
Sunday
it even
Tuesday. But so Yellow Belly opened mid-September down in the Central West End, and it made a lot of news because they partnered Tim Wiggins and Travis Howard, who are the owners, and Tim also does the beverage side of things over there. They had partnered up with Richard Blaze, who is a TV chef. Everybody knows him from He won Top Chef. So he helped create the Yellow Belly menu. He still helps consult, and then he also helped staff the kitchen crew. So it's what we say is it's island inspired. It's not tiki, it's not Hawaiian, but the food and drink are both inspired by islands, and it could be in the Caribbean, and it could be in the Polynesian islands, any place like that. Very casual setting, but very high-end execution. The menu very heavy on seafood. That's the main selling point. Most of the cocktails are rum-based of various types, and we also have a really large selection of rums as well. People just want like a pour just to taste what the variety of rums that are out there.
Rum. All right. I'm thinking pirates.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
I have to say, we don't just like it because Matt works there. This is some of the best cocktails in the city. Tim Wiggins, we've had on before. He's really great. Does a really amazing job balancing flavors using a lot of ingredients. And we had a whole feature in our drinking guide about the cocktail program at Yellow Belly and how it's sort of the new way of tiki. It's not tiki, like Matt said, but it's sort of the next step. Clean flavors, more simple stirred cocktails, but still with those like Polynesian influences, tropical flavors. It's really good.
What makes a good bartender, Matt?
I think, in my opinion, you don't have to be the most creative, and you don't have to be have the most spirits knowledge. Well, you have to show up on time, and which is number one, which is a big challenge, actually. But I think it's the ability to multitask, because that's all you do all night, and engage people. I think it's half of it's making the drinks, and half of it is speaking with the customers, understanding what they want, and trying to make them have the best experience possible.
Someday we ought to do a program with you on just some of the things you hear and have heard.
I can tell you stories from last night. Believe me.
I'll bet you can. You have to be a good listener, that's for sure.
Yeah, you have to know when to talk and when not to. Yeah, for sure.
And Heather, what would one of these programs be without talking about pizza? Here we go
It
again.
seems
Every
like
show.
we can't avoid it. In this case, we're talking about Pie Guy Pizza in the Grove, opened recently right next door to Gazelig Taproom Bottle Shop. And it's actually connected to Gazelig. There's a big doorway you can walk through into either place. You can bring your pizza into the bottle shop to sit and enjoy, which is great. But the main thing for me about this place is that the close time on Friday and Saturday nights is 3 a.m., which is so nice.
Even Matt, after work, and has time to go there.
Exactly.
St. Louis is notoriously light on late night places, and late night here means it closes at midnight most of the time. But Pie Guy closes at midnight on their weeknights, and then 3:30, like I said, on Friday and Saturday. So you can get a whole pizza, 18-inch pies, they're New York style, or $4 or $5 slices, and the options are cheese, pepperoni, sausage, or a veggie pizza, which is made with green olive and artichoke. The pizzas are pretty simple. They're giant slices. It has a sturdy sourdough crust, a house tomato sauce, and mozzarella cheese. It's pretty no frills, but exactly what you want at 3:30 a.m. when you're trying to leave the Grove.
But why is St. Louis behind other cities in this late night establishments?
We've talked about that before. I think part of the reason is that we're pretty spread out. Everybody drives here. Public transportation is, we have it, but it could be better than it is. So that's an obstacle. And otherwise, I don't know, because I would go.
Yeah, I probably would too, because I find myself out and about, at late night, quite a bit. And I think what Heather said is really true. And also, I think we're also like a little bit more generally maybe a conservative market. And there's not as many people who are out and about. And our neighborhoods, as she said, are very spread out. So, if you were in New York City, you just jump on the train and go somewhere else.
We have a minute left, and I had a not great experience at a well-known restaurant recently, and I'm not going to go back because of it. How many chances, Matt, I'll ask you both very quickly, how many chances do you give a place if you haven't been happy the first time?
Honestly, with as many good places we have in St. Louis, I give them once. If you can't execute well the first time, I'm probably not going to go back, and I think a lot of people have that idea as well.
Heather, what do you think?
I think it depends. I mean, it's hard to be consistent in a restaurant. Think about how hard it is to make the same dish twice at home in the same way. They're working with a lot of obstacles. That, on the other hand, that doesn't mean that you want to spend your money for something that you don't trust is going to be good. I give places at least a few times, especially if there are extenuating circumstances, if it's super busy.
Yeah, I like to
or
caveat
anything
that
like
by saying that if I go in on a Saturday night and my water glass hasn't been refilled for 15 minutes, that's totally fine.
Yeah,
right.
Well, it just shows what a tough business that is. You have to be consistent, no question about it.
Yeah.
Heather Hughes and Matt Sorrell, thank you so much for being with us. We'll see you again soon, I hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, providing more than 41,000 jobs in the production of wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details at choosewood.com.